What's up, you guys? My name is Preston James, coming to you from the Laughing Buddha recording studio here in Los Angeles, and we have another amazing record review or album review. And sorry it's taken so long. For those of you who have tuned in and who have watched this or do watch this, took me a minute. I've been doing a lot of other things like my podcast called The Reflection, which I do here at the Laughing Buddha recording studio, trying to infuse the two. Make this thing up and lively and going. So check it out when you get a chance. I'd really appreciate the love and support. As always, I really do. And we're coming with an amazing album review today, as always. This time we're doing Tyler, the Creator, Chromakopia. All right, let's get into it. All right, you guys. So, Tyler, the Creator. I've listened to Tyler for longer than I thought, to be honest. I was actually going through all of his albums. So at first I was like, let me do this dope album review and let me get some background on some things, just touch up on some information. And then I ended up doing this deep dive, right? I went all the way back to his first album, Bastard, in 2009. I got lost in the search, went through every single album, and realized that I have been listening to Tyler since Yonkers, which is on his second album in 2011, Goblin. Excuse me. And realized I remember hearing that song. When I listened to it again, I was like, I remember this song. Why did I forget about this song? That song, Yonkers, it put me sideways because, especially as an engineer, listening to it again in a different perspective, the snare is on the left, at least when my monitors are facing me. So on the left. So the snare's on the left, the vocals down the center, but she split it. And the engineer for the album was Sid, who is from Odd Future Collective. If you haven't listened to them, I also dove into them. I'd never listened to them before. They're amazing. Check them out. Don't know where I was or what was happening in my life where I missed that. And I was thinking, wow, what an amazing group. Frank Ocean, Earl Sweatshirt, Sid, and Domo Genesis, a Left Brain, a bunch of different people. They, what was I saying? Oh, Sid, she engineered the album Goblin. And I did all this research. That's when I first heard of Tyler, the Creator. And then it kind of went like this. Didn't hear about him for a while. I wasn't listening to him. And, life happens. So did all this research, went way too deep into all these albums and engineers. He's had a plethora of engineers. He's had Manny Marroquin. He's had Jason Joshua, who both of those guys are at the top of the top and engineers for the pop, rap, and hip-hop world right now, just in general as engineers, especially out here in LA and the pop culture scene. And he's had even, what's his name? Mick Guzinski. And that guy, he worked with Daft Punk and Pharrell. He did, I forget what the name of the album is. You guys will know. But their most famous album that won all those awards, he did that album. I mean, Mick Guzinski is amazing. So check him out. Check out all those engineers' work. Please, they are the best in the industry. So I'm focusing on this. And anyways, so let me circle back. So I had to come back to myself and say, why are you getting lost in all this and try to find all this information when you're doing an album review? You're not doing an artist review. You're not doing their history. You're not doing in this deep dive. You're not talking about necessarily the songs on the album per se. You're kind of just touching on them, but you're not doing this deep dive. You're talking about one album. You're talking about the engineers, producers, and songwriters. That is the focus here for my album review. And from the Laughing Buddha recording studio, Preston James. Right? I am focusing on those areas because that's what I do. And I think those people go unrecognized a lot of the time. I know that producers have come up a lot in the last 20 years and just being recognized and just kind of put forward in the music scene as a part of the process and project, and them being at the forefront is awesome. But engineers and songwriters also, I feel and believe, need to be at the forefront as well, right? You have the artist, and then right behind the artist in a straight line, not one in front of the other, are the producers, songwriters, and engineers. Yes. So anyways, I got lost in that, and then I had to come back and say, focusing on Chromakopia. So Chromakopia, 8th studio album by Tyler, the Creator, came out after his last album, which was Call Me If You Get Lost. And then before that was Igor. And we know about Igor because Igor won Best Rap Album in 2020. I believe it was 2020. Let me double check that. 2019. Yeah, 2020 Grammys won Best Rap Album. So that was huge for Tyler. And then he did his next album, Call Me If You Get Lost, which I didn't do much listening to until now. When I was doing this review for Chromakopia, I went back as part of my deep dive and started listening to Odd Future, all of Tyler's albums, and just kind of peeling back the layers so I could just get another a sense of Tyler again before I even spoke on the engineering and production and his songwriting. So my consensus is he is an amazing individual, very geniusly talented, just up and down the board, creative. He really is. Tyler, the Creator, suits his name. It really does. This guy, he loves his 808s, he loves his synths, and he loves his keys. The one thing that kind of is intermittent are the keys, the keys. The keys don't hit as much in some albums, but his 808s are always there, and his synths are always there. I don't know why I just put so much emphasis on synths, but he's a genius. I love his stuff. It's different. It's out of pocket in the best way possible. The word that first comes to mind is weird. Why? I don't know. That's a social construct to say the word weird. It's not the word I'm looking for, but that's the first word that pops to mind. And it's not weird. It's just different and not your average rap or hip hop or even pop style, alternative style of album. It's not, and he doesn't do it the ordinary way. And that's the best part about him. And the other thing is consistent. Very consistent from Bastard to Chromakopia. All 8 albums have his signature touch to it. They're all the same, but completely different. And you get a different feel for each one. This one I really liked a lot, Chromakopia, because it touched on his life here in California, specifically LA, Inglewood, LA, and Hawthorne, which he's basically he's primarily from Hawthorne in Inglewood is what he says. Well, he says all 3, Inglewood, LA, and Hawthorne. But it talks about that, and he was saying that he released this album to talk about things that were happening to him before the age of 17, that nobody was aware of anything that happened to him or what was going on at the age of 17 and before. So that's why his mom is on the album as well, he said. And some of the lyrics, like, again, if you've watched my reviews before, you know that I'm not too big on the lyrics. But I do get into them sometimes. And this one struck me because one of the songs resonated with me really well, which was Take Off the Mask. And he just kind of talks about people being real. So I don't know what time period this was in his life, obviously before 17 or before, but he just talks about being real. And I really related to that because that's how I feel right now in the world with a lot of people. And just everything that's going on, I just feel like people are they're not authentic. I don't feel like people are authentically themselves, and it could just be me. Maybe I'm just in a weird spot. I don't know. I feel like I'm in a good spot, but that song was very relatable. Take Off the Mask. Just hit me different. It really did. But my favorite songs on the album by far, Sticky. I love Balloon. Balloon's dope with Doechii. I'm gonna get into that in a second. Ratata is dope as fuck. And Darling. Those songs, and of course, Take Off the Mask. But those songs are amazing. Overall, top to bottom, album is solid. I'd give this album, honestly, probably an 8 out of 10. I'm thinking about everything, right? Incorporating creativity, engineering, which I'll get into in a second too. But the engineering, the flow of the album, and the consistency of the album. Like some of these albums kind of tell a story, and the first few songs usually hit the hardest for the most part, not always, because they want to grab the listener's attention, which is smart, right? It's kind of a marketing thing. These songs definitely are not chosen at random. So that's usually the case. And they did. Those first, like Ratata, and it was just hard hitting. And even the first song, what's the first song? Saint Chrome. It like builds and builds and builds and builds and builds, and then it fucking just comes in with that 808 and hits so hard. So he did a great job with that on every song, and it just kind of told this story sonically. It sonically told this story, which I really appreciated. Again, his genius coming through in almost a subconscious way to the average listener who's not listening for these types of things. So yes, let me just jump on it. So the mixing engineer for this album was Neil Pogue, and he has done the last 3 albums, starting with Flower Boy. I believe, I'm looking right now. Yep, Flower Boy, Igor, Call Me If You Get Lost, and then this one, Neil Pogue and his assistant, which I apologize, I don't know his assistant's name, but they did post about it. They spent 2 weeks, a lot of nights overnight at the studio getting this done. It was not necessarily a last minute thing, but they were kind of crunched for time, based off of whatever, and they were just killing it, and they did a great job. Neil, you did an awesome job. Thank you for bringing this to us. Another sonically amazing album. Everything fits really well. The drums and the perks are separated so nicely in relationship to the keys and the synths. So you have this even flow of the drums and the synths of the keys that just kind of mix really well together. One doesn't overshadow the other, and that clarity is not always easy to get. So I heard that on all the albums. I would say that my favorite Tyler album is either Goblin or Igor. Personally, I like Bastard too. Bastard's dope, and I didn't hear it until just recently when I was doing my deep dive. But I would say that, I don't know, Igor kind of hit me. Best rap album, sucked me in. Earthquake was just I don't know. I felt a lot in my soul on that album, and that has a lot to do with the engineering and production as well, right? And the songwriting. When they all come together like perfectly like that, then that's when it really kind of latches on for me, and I think for a lot of people as well. But yes, I forgot where I was going. Neil Pogue did this album, amazing. Thank you so much for doing what you do. We appreciate you. The mastering engineer for this album, Mike Bosey, or I think it's Bosey, but he also did the last 3 albums, this one being the 4th. So I believe him and Neil Pogue, the mixing engineer, have this relationship too, right? And once you have that, I've talked about that in every single review, that consistency of the artist having the same producers, the same engineers, and the same writers from the beginning of the project until the end of the project, so that they see the vision through, right? When they have the vision, they're all on the same page. They create that consistency and that cohesiveness to bring it together, to bring that vision to life. And he has done that on most of his albums. If as most of you might know who have listened to Tyler for a while, know that he does mostly all of his songwriting, if not all of it. He does all of his arrangement, which, if you don't know what arrangement is, that basically is putting the hook at the beginning compared to an intro, and then the verse, and then the pre-chorus, and then the bridge, like depending on how you want to arrange the song, right? So musically, how does it flow best together? So he did all the arrangement on this album. He does it usually for all of his albums. He even does some of his own recording. And I guess what I'm trying to say is he kept that consistency. They kept the consistency. They saw the vision through, and it worked. it worked again. And so I really commend him for doing that, because as I've said again, that tends to yield the best results in my professional, personal opinion. So this album, written, produced, and arranged by Tyler, the Creator. Again, written, produced, and arranged by Tyler, the Creator. Do you guys realize how much time goes into this stuff? Like, really? I hope so. And I'm hoping to bring light to that, which is one of the main reasons I'm doing this, is because it does take a lot of work, especially if you're also the artist. As I just kind of dabbled in a second ago, he did some of the recording. He does some of the recording for himself as well. I know that I don't see that I have it on here, but I'm pretty sure that Vic Weinstein did his recording, who he's worked with for a while now as well, just like the other engineers. But Tyler's done some of his own recording as well, which just, it takes more time. All of it takes time. You're writing the songs, you're writing the lyrics, you're arranging it all together. Even if you do some of the mixing yourself, but even the recording, like figuring out how you want to record it. And it's not, you don't just grab a mic and just jump into the studio. It just doesn't work that way. Any of you who have done this at home or have experimented know that just setting up your DAW to get the right sound and your room to get the right sound, so there's not too much room in your vocal and all those little tiny things that add up, know that it's a process. So for him to do all those things is just like, man, I just have a lot more appreciation for Tyler, the Creator. Just much love and appreciation. I commend you. You're fucking awesome. You're a rock star, bro. You really are. So, Jada Love did an appearance of some production on here. She did some co-production on here. And Jada Love, if you haven't heard her name, which I hadn't before the Doechii album, Alligator Bites Never Heal, she did 99%, if not all, the recording and mixing for that Doechii album. And so I'm assuming she helped produce the song with Doechii. I didn't see anything on that specifically, but Jada Love is a very talented lady, a female engineer, right? And you don't really see or hear a lot about those, about female engineers. So shout out to Jada Love, up and coming. She is also up for a Grammy this year for a Creator1 song that's remixed. I can't remember the name of the song, but she is up for a Grammy this year for that. So shout out again to Jada Love, doing her thing across the board, working with these artists. We appreciate you. People like myself see you, trying to get your name out, spread the love. We support you. Keep doing your thing. Yes. So what else was I saying? Oh, another appearance by Childish Gambino. Did some additional engineering on this. Didn't see that coming. Didn't know that. Childish Gambino. And if you don't know who that is Donald Glover, what we would call a modern day Renaissance man. Someone said that to me, and I definitely agree. In all words, in all senses of the word, he is a Renaissance man. So shout out Childish Gambino for showing up and showing out like always. You're killing the game in all facets of the entertainment industry. And then Andrew Keller, who did some also additional engineering, who's worked with Alicia Keys, Ariana Grande, Six Black, and I think he's Tizo Touchdown's actual engineer. Now that I'm looking at my notes, I think Andrew Keller is Tizo Touchdown's actual, like his main engineer. I don't know if he does every single thing that he does, but I think he's his main recording engineer for the most part. So shout out Andrew Keller and Childish Gambino. And again, if you haven't listened to this album, go listen to this album. It's got this modern pop, jazz, alternative, rap, hip hop, mostly more rap, I would say, feel to it that just is just all over the place in the best way possible, musically and sonically. It really is. It's an amazing listen. I listen to most of it here in my studio, listen to it in my car, my headphones. And those of you who know what I'm trying to say is that you can really get a sense of an album and that piece of art, that project, when you have a specific listening environment. So I listen to it. I try to do that with a lot of these albums that I review, if not all of them. to really get a sense of how I feel during the album and what the album feels like to me. And that's a big part for me as an engineer too, because that's a lot of the stuff that we do is try to get the feeling across in the vocal and the instrumentation, as well as the arrangement and production. And of course, the songwriting with the words and the lyrics that we're writing to go with the song, or vice versa. So yes, check this album out, Chromakopia 2024. Tyler, the Creator, multi-talented individual, human being, genius. And definitely listen to Odd Future, the Odd Future Collective, which some of you may have listened to Frank Ocean or Earl Sweatshirt or any of the other ones I mentioned, like Sid or Left Brain or Damo, Genesis. But check out all of his albums. Again, my personal favorites are Goblin, Igor, and then Chromakopia or Bastard. Bastard's dope as fuck. But definitely check them all out. Again, that's it. We went over everything. Like I said, Tyler did all the writing for this, produced and arranged. As always, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you so much for the love and support. And you know what we like to say here? Do what you got to do to get to where you want to be so you can do what you want to do. Do what you got to do to get to where you want to be so you can do what you want to do. As long as we're not hurting people and lying and cheating and manipulating to get there, right? It's all love, all about community, building each other up, trying to make it in this industry. Your love and support is much appreciated, really it is. Trying to make the transition from teaching to full-time engineer. And if you haven't listened to my podcast, The Reflection, on all streaming podcast platforms, please check it out, about living in a positive, productive, growth mindset lifestyle. Please check that out. And yeah, I appreciate you tuning in. Oh, and I always forget to say this. You are appreciated. Do what you do. The world needs you. You are a unique individual. Release your album. Release your music. Release your videos. Release your content. Release your music in general. Just release your music. A lot of us sit on the music, and we shouldn't. So release it. Just let it be free. Give it out to the world for free. Otherwise, it's just to be sitting on your computer, right? Give it to the world for free. Why not? So release your content. You are loved. You are appreciated. The world is a better place because you are in it. We are in it. We are doing this together. Let's build this community. Let's make the world a better place. Love you guys. Thanks for stopping by. Much love, you guys. Talk to you soon.